what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. So, Brian Kelly was asked a bit about a lot of things in yesterday's press conference. He was asked about the Bryce Underwood decommitment, which, he can't speak on specific players, but he was basically like, look, this is it's larger than one player, and they'll still maybe take a quarterback there. But basically, that kind of transposed into a conversation about the transfer portal. And if you remember in the past, Brian Kelly's always been someone who has said, look, we want to build mainly through recruiting and use the portal to kind of fill in the corners, if you will. But here's what he had to say yesterday about the Tigers' approach to the portal in this upcoming offseason.
We'll be very aggressive. I think everybody that's followed us knows that we went very aggressive in the transfer portal. We put together a defensive line using minimal resources. We've really put ourselves in a position, and I'll use this term loosely, to stay well under the cap, so we could be quite aggressive this year, as well as bringing in 16 mid-years. We're going to have 16 mid-years. We think that the program, in terms of the culture and the standards, are such that we can do that now, where we can bring in 16 freshmen and maybe one of, if not the largest, transfer portal classes as well.
One of, if not the largest, transfer portal classes. So kind of confirmation of what we had heard a bit, that LSU came into last season shopping, a little lean. They sought savings. They were seeking not to get in bidding wars. They went into the season with some money on the table, a bit of a surplus. You heard them right there, right? For lack of a better term, underneath the salary cap. Well, the lessons learned from this year of college football are extreme. And it is that you got to spend it to win it. Now, you can always overachieve based on your spending. And it's not a guarantee that if you spend a ton, it's going to go great. I mean, again, look at Ole Miss. Their dreams have kind of come crashing down around them. But if you look at a lot of top teams in the country, be it Oregon, Ohio State, Tennessee, Texas, Ole Miss, Georgia, right? Teams that have been in that top 8, top 10 for most of the year, those, not by coincidence, are also the teams that have spent the most. So LSU kind of changing their tune a bit, and now, Jake, with money to spend, because you have the leftover surplus from last year. You've raised more money because you recognize even the greater importance of it now, and now you're willing to change your strategy a bit, and we have a lot more data on how to fit transfers in and what type of transfers you should be aiming for and how to make that process work. So this LSU team about to go hard when it comes to high school and the portal and really filling out the numbers. And one interesting thing about guys like Underwood decommitting, it is objectively not good, to lose a player of that caliber.
Right.
But most things in life, you could find some sort of silver lining, and it goes back to what we said. It frees up resources. So if you want to bring those resources, that $1.5 million a year that was going to go to one player,
maybe up to $2 million.
That's what I'm saying. So what if that's now 3 players for $500K a year?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, would have been the highest on LSU's roster last year, right? So you could see that you could use those freed up resources in effective ways. I'm not trying to say it's a good thing when those players decommit, but that is a silver lining that you look to take advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned it there. They were, not very aggressive in the portal. They had a plan to try to do it through high school, like you said, supplement through the portal. I remember having a conversation with someone on the staff at the Heisman ceremony last year, and like, yeah, hey, we're kind of looking at these 4 or 5 guys that we think can be nice additions to the roster, and maybe we can move forward with these guys based off what we have coming back and what we have in high school. Now, there were some decisions that were made after that kind of changed the roster, but I mean, like, early on, they knew they were going to kind of be light in the transfer portal. But I think as this thing continues to develop, it continues to grow, you see that, one, not all things in the portal are bad, right? You can add through the portal, and you can, certainly help your team and benefit from it. And so now them talking about being that aggressive, that actually is really exciting, because when you look at T-Bob, who the top 10 teams were in the transfer portal rankings. Like, not who got the most players, but who got the players that they thought on 3 were going to be impactful. Now, there's really one miss out of all of these teams. All right, so you've got
Florida State.
Yeah. You've got Louisville, Colorado, Florida State, but then you got Ole Miss, Oregon, Texas, Missouri, Syracuse, Indiana, South Carolina, Arizona State.
I was going to say, I knew Arizona State. Yeah, I mean, look, exactly, right? All those
Everyone of those
everyone Jake
teams
just named are surprises this season.
They're ranked.
Yeah.
Except Florida State. Now, Louisville's kind of back and forth, but still, they've had big moments. They've beaten Clemson this year. Outside of Florida State, those teams that we're talking about that did well in the portal, they've either been ranked for a majority of the season or they're currently ranked right now. Like Syracuse, they're a good football team. Indiana, I mean, Arizona State certainly with a chance to make the college football playoff. And so if you do it right, you can add to your roster, not really mess with all the process that you've built up, the culture of your locker room. These players want to come in here and they want to play well individually and collectively as a team. So if you have the resources, which LSU has a surplus right now, and they've mentioned that, yeah, go get some veteran guys. Retain your guys. That's key as well. You didn't do that a year ago, and that was
that was the biggest sin. That is honestly what screwed you up more than anything. You would have. I still am really very bullish on how this defense has played this season, but yeah, you could have had maybe like an upper tier defense had you managed to get those guys back. But yeah, you're right. Retain and attack. And you're still, well, it is interesting. I would say that you're still going to be a school that is going to be mainly recruiting, but I mean, you heard it right there. He made no bones about it saying the largest transfer portal class. So they're like, okay. And again, you lose a high school guy. Okay. Well, maybe you go get now a guy out the portal. If you don't find a high school guy that you think is worthy of those resources. So an interesting sort of shell game that could be played now as resources are freed up and you choose to invest them in new spaces. And so this first portal window is especially the most important one too, correct?
Yes.
I mean, because it feels like last year they kind of tried to play it a little.
Try to wait a little bit.
They tried to wait and see what happened to the second one, and then you just got slim pickings and then prices get jacked up.
Yeah, the second one still will have players in it, but the second one, it's really like those defensive tackle, offensive guard type position players where you're trying to get into the nitty-gritty and trying to finish your roster. Last year it was defensive tackle for a lot of these teams, and those players get overvalued because of it, and credit to them. I mean, you got players that are – some of them are just guys on a roster, not even dudes, and they're getting paid because there was a necessity there, and it was the last time you could add to your roster. But, no, this first portal window, that's where you get the most impactful players.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like Simeon Barrow's doing anything. I mean, he could be actually. I don't know.
No, he's playing well. He's playing okay, but like compared to what the word was around him and how much he got in the NIL space, it's because
you don't want to be paying him $1 million. Yeah.
No.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.